The only thing I know is, for certain, you got to fire Billy Napier. Clemson starting out the game against Troy down 16-0. Yeah. Now I'm going to keep it a Fortnite V-Buck with you. All right, let's make this a short, simple, and sweet video. What about that? The Florida Gators. Get this out the way, shut the door. Just lost to USF. I told y'all in the preview. Some of you watch, you know what I'm talking about. Do not sleep on more so of two things, not two people. Number one, USF. Number two, Byron Brown. He's mini Cam Newton. By the way, here's one thing I hate about the AP nerds. They're not going to give USF the respect they deserve. Why? Because it's not a premier program like a Florida, LSU, like an SEC team or something like that. If this was an SEC team and they just beat 13th ranked Florida, where would they be ranked? Probably 13, 12, or 11, something like that. And hold on. Let's talk about this for a second. And we're going to talk about the Clemson game. By the way, when are y'all going to believe me? I've been telling you for 4 years. Dabo is a dinosaur. Get to that in just a second. I need to hurry up. Michigan game's going on. Bama game's going on. There's a bunch of games. Mississippi State, Arizona State. We got Va Tech. The Vanderbilt game. I don't have it up on the screen quite just yet. But like I was saying, Dabo's a dinosaur. And also, USF has now started out the season. I want y'all to understand something. They are 2-0. Not just against anybody. They're 2-0 against the top 25. We got to clap it up. Clap it up to, what's their mascot again? The Bulls? Yeah, the USF Bulls. I'm telling you, if this was like a Clemson, if this was if this was like a Kentucky, if this was a Virginia Tech, NC State, they'd be ranked inside the top 12. But no, since it's USF, we're not going to give them respect. Give them the respect they deserve. You can't sit up and tell me, you AP nerds, that Florida is the 13th best team in the country, right? But then not put USF at 13, 12, something like that. There's a lot we got to break down. Well, first things first, you got to fire Billy Napier. I've been telling you guys for years, he is a great guy. Outstanding guy. I'm sure he'd be cool to watch some games with in the man cave. I'd probably like hanging out with him, golfing with him, talking with him. The sad reality is he's not a good coach. And more times than not, the nicest people out there don't make for good coaches. You got to be an a-hole. Does Billy Napier, let me ask you a question, strike you as an a-hole? Absolutely not. Does even Kalen DeBoer, a different conversation for a different day, strike you as an a-hole? Absolutely not. You need somebody who's going to be mean. And it's not even like you got to flip the switch and try to be mean. It needs to be natural. And Napier is not natural. Undisciplined. By the way, what's up with the guy spitting on the dude? Why is that? I tweeted this out. Why is that now becoming popular in football? We saw it with Jalen Carter on opening night in the NFL. And now you see this guy do it. This one was much different because you could argue and say it cost him the game because USF had the ball like they're 20. You spit on the guy, you give him extra 15 yards. Shout out to USF. They capitalize on it. I really don't have too much more to say about the game. I could pull up this. You know what? I'm not pulling up the stats. We don't have time for all that. I don't want to miss any of these games. Let's just do this in live time, shall we? Oh, and by the way, Florida fans, if you thought this was brutal, just wait. You have the toughest schedule in America. And this was one of your easier games remaining. And you lost at home. Let that sink in. What do you think LSU, Miami, you also play Florida State. Who else do that? I don't know. They play like 8 teams inside the top 25 in the next 10 weeks or 11 weeks. What do you think they're going to do to you? I tell you this much, you're not going to make a bowl game. And I made a video 2 or 3 days ago stating, you can go look at us on the channel, Florida's in for a rude awakening. All these Florida fans are, oh, Matt doesn't know what he's talking about. All right. You'll see. You'll see. They come around eventually. Where is their schedule at? Hold on, give me a second. Lagway, he had the interception. Did the guy really pick it off? I don't know. I saw some videos and pictures on Twitter where it looked like he trapped it, but it wasn't a good throw across his body on a post route. I didn't really like it. But he didn't play bad. He didn't play good. Look, you didn't lose this game because of Lagway. 23 for 33, 200 yards. I thought he played okay. You lost this game because the offense is terrible. Your defense kept you in it. And it's just an undisciplined football thing. It's like who was the guy? Was it in 2020, the Marco Wilson dude who threw the LSU player's shoe and Ever since then, it seems like the Florida program has been cursed. And it's looking like they're going to continue to remain cursed. So, I don't know. The only thing I know is, for certain, you got to fire Billy Napier. I'm not going to sit up here and talk about this game for 10 to 15 minutes. It's relatively simple. I expected it to be close, and let's clap it up again to USF. Alex Golish, much better coach than Florida, and it comes down to this: you got outcoached. It is as plain and as simple as that. Florida, you got more talent, but USF, they got some talent. A lot of people don't know just because, they're not in the Power Four. It doesn't mean they can't compete with the big boys. They get the leftovers in the state of Florida. They get like the 2 and 3 stars. They got some good players on the team. It's a solid group of guys. I'm not going to sit up here and say they're an outstanding football team because I don't believe that. But it's a scrappy team, and I knew if they could just stay in the game late in the fourth quarter, some chaos could ensue. The ball bounces their way. They get an opportunity. They may capitalize, and guess what? They capitalize. Moving along here. Oh, yeah, what about Illinois? I've been telling y'all, I'm high on them. They're my sleeper in the Big Ten. Crushing Duke. They weren't even favored in the game, and they beat them by 26 points. Shout out to Illinois for making Matt look like he knows what he's talking about. And Arch Manning, he looked okay, but who cares at San Jose State? I told y'all he was going to bounce back. I got to bring this up. Oregon, I knew they were going to blow them out. They beat them by a 66 burger. I watched a little bit of this game when it was within like 30, 40 points. 69-3. Mike Gundy, that's pretty embarrassing. But I'm not going to say too much because we all expected that. All in all, there wasn't a lot of, I enjoy watching the games, but there wasn't a really lot to talk about leading up into these night games. I'm sure the night games would be more entertaining, a little bit better. Last but not least, I did save the best for last. We're going to talk. Oh, yeah, Florida State, they cruised today, but they played a nobody. I feel like I missed. Oh, the Baylor. Sawyer Robertson, how's he not getting any Heisman love? He's one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. He balled out against Auburn. Did you know he had over 400 yards against Auburn? Nobody talked about it, buddy, because he lost. And in this game, he almost had 500, played amazing. SMU blew that. Rhett Lashley, that guy is so unlikable. He's the guy who's been, ragging on the SEC. Well, guess what, buddy? You couldn't even beat Baylor. You squandered a 14-point lead. Shut your mouth, man. Shut your mouth. Ole Miss. Oh, I almost forgot to talk about this one. Sorry, I'm looking at my phone to remind myself. Ole Miss and the Lane Train barely escaped Kentucky. I knew that game was going to be close. I talked about that a little bit in the preview. Kentucky, Mark Stoops, they have Lane Kiffin's number, but they're always a scrappy team. It's similar to USF. They like to run the ball. They chew the clock. And Kentucky probably would have won this game if they had a quarterback who was half decent. Zach Calzada is trash. He's been playing for 7 years. He's pushing 30, literally. Like we joke about, oh yeah, that guy's pushing 30. No, he's pushing 30. Their backup was even worse. Calzada got hurt. Heck, Austin Simmons, the guy who looks like Tula, he tried to gift Kentucky the game early on. He threw them 2 picks in the first quarter. Kentucky really didn't do too much. I mean, they got a touchdown and a field goal, but they didn't have to work. They intercepted the balls in Ole Miss's territory. Started out 10-0, and after that, the Ole Miss defense clapped them up. So shout out to the Ole Miss defense. Ole Miss offense, they were okay. I will give some, sorry, losing my voice. I will give some respect to Austin Simmons. He bounced back in a good way. I like to see that resiliency. The game went how I thought. Last but not least, Clemson started out the game against Troy down 16-0. Yeah. Now I'm going to keep it a Fortnite V-Buck with you. I never for once thought they were going to lose. I knew eventually they'd turn it on, especially when they got into the locker room. I'm sure Dabo the Dinosaur lit them guys up, in which it looked like he did. Because next thing you know, you blink in the third quarter, they're up 17-16. They had the crazy, they scored a touchdown to start the third quarter, cut it 16-10. And then Troy had this crazy interception that bounced off of one of their receivers' butts. And then the Clemson dude picked it up. And on the first play after that, Clemson takes the lead. They never look back. I'm not even going to clap it up and say, hey, way to show some resiliency. It's Troy. It is an embarrassing look, but I always say this. I don't care who you're playing. I don't care if you're playing at the YMCA, the boys. I don't care football, basketball, what sport you're playing. If you're playing ping pong in the garage with your boys, you never, and I mean you never, under any circumstance, apologize for a win. I don't care who it's against. It could be the best team in the nation, the worst team. It's hard to win in football. Sure, they had more talent. It was also a rain. I mean, the game wasn't this in a. I could be mistaken on this, but it went on so long. Wasn't this an 11 a.m. kickoff? I mean, it felt like it was delayed for 6 to 7 hours. It takes a toll on the players. I hate to use that excuse, but it does. And let's just be honest. The Clemson players don't care to play against Troy. It's hard to get hyped up for it. Do I view Clemson less because of his performance? No, but you got to take into account, I've never been high on him at all. Cade Klubnik, most overrated quarterback in the country. Oh, here's the funny thing, right? Clemson fans, before the LSU game, in one of my videos I stated they don't have a hostile home environment. They really don't have a home field advantage. And some Clemson fan, or I think it was 2 or 3, tweeted at me saying, you don't know what you're talking about. Death Valley is one of the most hostile environments in college football. No comment. Plead the fifth. You're not going to get me to go on a rant and tangent. A wise man doesn't respond to a fool. That's all I'm going to say. But I'll say it again. If you think Clemson has a real home field advantage in a hostile environment, you don't know what you're talking about. I told you last year, you can't lose and get blown out by Louisville and beat by South Kakalaki at home and try to convince me you got a real home field advantage. You don't, buddy. Sorry, I know you hate to hear that. It's your favorite team or not. You don't. You saw it today. Anytime Troy, with all due respect, jumps out on you 16-0 at home, there's no home field advantage. Not much, at least. Not what Clemson fans think. But I'm not going to berate them too much because I've been trying to tell y'all for years, Clemson ain't that good. They're all right. They just look decent every year because they're in the sorry and sucky ACC. You put Clemson in the Big Ten, you put Clemson in the SEC, they're going 7-5 every year, buddy. 8-4, maybe. They're never going 9-3, 10-2. Put that on my life. Like Illinois is beating Clemson by at least 14, 17 points. That's all I'm going to say. We'll end the video off here. I'll see you guys later tonight. Let me know your thoughts down below. But